Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good Sunday afternoon, and hello, DamFam. Hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to a special episode of the True North Eager. I forgot the title of my own damn show. True North Eager Beaver Interview Project. Today, recording day is Sunday, March 1st, 2026, and it is a gorgeous day here. A little chilly, but wonderful here at the Beaver Lodge. And I am clicking my ruby red slippers together and saying there's no place like home. For all of you who have been following my ordeal over the past little while. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And, not with me is my, oh, well, look at that.
How you
And
going?
with me, as usual, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm not too bad actually. For a chill Sunday afternoon. Was out a little bit earlier with Lola, and then came home, did some chores. Been doing some choring today, and then decided that I should, just go for a little bit. Went for a coffee, and then went and had a beer, and came home. And saw that you were getting ready to go online, so I thought I'd pop in and say hello.
Oh, I am so glad you did. What a pleasant surprise. And I'm sure the Dam fam is very happy too.
Well, it's I got the toucan because it's cold out right now. Yesterday when I took Lola out in the morning, it was +5. This morning it was -22, and tonight it's going to drop to -35.
Hey,
Yeah,
okay.
-35. That's a 30-degree drop. No, 40-degree drop. What am I saying? +5 to -35 in 48 hours.
Jeez.
Wow.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting walk with Lola at 4:30 in the morning.
We are going the other way. I think it was like -10 or 12, and in a couple of days it's going to be plus.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
how?
It is going to warm. It's supposed to. I saw something on the CBC how it might hit 20 degrees in southwestern Ontario this week. I'm like, but right now they're getting the same winter freeze effect that we're getting. GTA is going to hit -30 tonight. So -30 to +20 is, we would describe that as redonkulous
Yes.
because it is.
Yes.
It's stupid. Come on.
All
-30 to +20. Come on.
A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. My friend, how is your mental health today, sir?
I've been battling for a bit now, and in all honesty, today I'm better than I expected to be. So that's a win. Yeah, I've been. Whoops, sorry, just knocking shit over here. I don't mean to. Been battling some stuff as of late, and I'm hanging on and hanging in, and that's really what counts. But yeah, I'd say today is not too bad, all things considered. Despite the fact that I've it's been an uphill struggle for me for a little while now. And I did have an appointment with my doctor scheduled, and it fell through. So it was a phone, like a phone call appointment, and it
Okay.
fell through. I didn't hear from him. So I'm going to reach out to him this week and say, hey, what's up? I'm still here. Do I need to double my medication? Like, what's going on? Things aren't shiny, happy people as it should be. But again, it's February. Well, it's March 1st today, technically, right?
Right.
Time of the year. This is a difficult time of the year for those of us who have mental health issues, and those of us who suffer from seasonal affective disorder, those of us who struggle to just, get through the day. And, I took last week off, needed a rest, needed some R&R, talked to my boss. He goes, yeah, go relax, because I know you got to go away in a few weeks, and it's just been confirmed. So I got to book with my friends so she can watch over Lola while I have to go to Toronto. And I understand I've got a few more trips coming up in the next few months. And with what is going on in the world right now,
Jeez.
my job might get really interesting over the next little while. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going to work tomorrow, because I'm curious to find out what's going to be happening.
My job is like a box of chocolates.
You never know what you're going to get. And in my case, because of whom I'm working for,
Right.
yeah.
Which again, we can't say much about, but
We can't say anything about it, literally. But it's just like, because of what is happening globally, things for me could get really. I might be on the road for a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out. It'll be cool either way. I'm excited to go to work tomorrow, which is not something most people say on a Sunday afternoon.
yes. Well, for my part, I'm keeping my beaver butt at home.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
you're going
what I'm
anywhere
gonna
for a little bit. Maybe it's best if
say.
you don't get on a plane anytime soon.
First vacation in 6 years, like, come on.
Well, I mean,
Really?
despite the complications in the beginning, with the car breakdown and the trip to get there, and then, of course, Alex sacrificing some of his DNA to the coral gods, I guess. I think we should all be grateful and thankful that things didn't go as bad as they theoretically could have,
Yes.
because of where you were and what happened while you were there. So
Yeah. And today, I'm happy to talk about it more a little later, but right now, today, I just want a couple days off from
yeah,
talking.
no, I get it. You just let's can I not address this right now? I don't need to be dealing with it at the moment. Yeah, I completely
And
understand that.
and of course, like, today is the day because we got home, right? B We left Thursday, we stayed in Toronto a little bit, one day with, Alex's dad because we
Mhm.
had to stay up all night in the airport, so we were just beat, then came back yesterday, and then today I'm, like, walking out of the door, and who's there? The neighbor who helped shovel our our driveway, and it's like, "Hi." It's like, "Thank you for doing that, I really don't wanna talk to you right now about how my trip was going, but hi." And then, we go out for brunch with a couple of friends, and then they're asking about that, so we're talking about that then, and of course, then we're leaving, and just as we're leaving happens to be, like, the office assistant at my chiropractor. "Hey, how was your trip?" And it's like, "Oh my god, am I gonna run into everybody I know today?"
I don't want to discuss it at the moment. Perhaps at a later date, but for currently, I would like to not discuss it. And we go from there.
Oh my god. Okay, so today, Kits and Cubs, in case you were, sleeping under a rock or something, and the pun word Iraq, get it?
Yeah,
But,
it's good.
we're
It's
not
good.
gonna be talking about Iraq, we're gonna be talking about Iran today, and, to help us with that, because to be totally honest, this is way out of my depth,
Mm.
uh, we have a DamFam favorite here, again, because, we had him not too long ago, ask him how screwed are we, when we, saw the United States go into Venezuela, and we know what's happening with Cuba. And it seems that around 2 something in the morning, around March 1st, the United States, under the presidency of he who shall not be named,
Mhm.
decided to bomb his eighth country in 1 year.
Yeah, no, he's really putting that whole FIFA peace prize to
Mm.
shit, isn't he?
Yeah, and that whole American first, no more forever wars, no more wars, and that whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people, Marjorie Trader Green is sort of wondering what the hell happened to that pretty vociferously.
Well, and so all the most terrible people in
Mhm.
the political spectrum that we have been telling you for years are terrible, suddenly are changing their tune a little bit, and you know, pundits and people who do what we do, and many of them are terrible human beings, and we've talked about how terrible they've been. They've suddenly been changing their tune as of late. Now, I'm not going to say, well, that they've redeemed themselves, because I don't believe that's the case. But a broken clock is right at least twice a day.
Yes, we find ourselves in the very uncomfortable position of agreeing now and then with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Or, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm about to say it, Mark Slapinski. Yeah, I know. I got to go take a shower now after saying that, but I've even agreed a few times lately with Jason Kenney, and I'm like, what
I need
the
to rinse my
hell
mouth.
is
Sorry.
happening? Like, what's going on? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. They've been saying and doing the right things, so I'm going to agree with them when they say and do the right thing.
Right.
Because that's who we are.
Yeah.
That's who we are. We will give credit where credit is due when it's due.
Exactly.
Not saying that they've redeemed themselves, because PP's speech the other day was a well-written chat GPT speech, and quite frankly, he said the right things. Now he wants to go to Germany and the UK to negotiate on our behalf. For what exactly? He is not the government of Canada. He can't negotiate anything. So I thought it was funny. We said, we don't need an election for at least 3 or 4 years. I'm like, oh, so you know you're defeated. You know you haven't got a snowball's chance in Hades of winning anything.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, the most luxurious public housing that taxpayer money can buy is a nice place to cool your heels until such time as, well, you know.
Yeah. Till
Yeah.
you get a
Anyway.
nice post-political gig somewhere doing consulting. I like, what is he qualified to do?
Please don't make me answer that question, because I can promise you only not nice things are going to come out.
I know.
I'm a petty little beaver.
He's not qualified to do anything. And
Oh my
again,
God.
like I said in the past, and I'll reiterate it one more time here, he does not care about anybody but himself. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And if you think he does, he's managed to pull the wool over your eyes. I know this because somebody who used to work directly for him said as much. He doesn't give a damn about me. Doesn't care about me at all.
Yeah. Yeah. However, we do have someone who cares about us.
Yes. And he's a
Yes.
knowledgeable individual.
Yes. So kids and cubs, how about putting your paws up? Here's the camera. And giving a big round of applause to DamFam favorite, mon frère, and I'm beyond a friend of the pod now, because I think he's our most frequent guest.
Well, he's not on camera right now. I think he stepped away to the toilet for a second or two.
Oh, I see a hand.
Oh, I see his hand.
Hand waving.
I don't know if he's saying give us 5. What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
I think he's drowning. Asking for help. Oh God, here he goes.
Oh, okay.
Hi. Don't blow the whistle.
Are we here now?
Military history.
Yeah.
Are we for now? Jesus Christ. Sorry
Have
about
you got
that.
your full battle round there or what?
No, I don't. No, I don't. My dad's he gave me some advice when I was coming into. You got a bald head, so you got to cover up the shine because it'll bounce off the camera lens and everything. So
That's
I'll
what
put
I'm
on
doing today.
my working suit.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing today.
Anyways, okay.
Yes, fathers always helpful.
They are.
Perfect for the self-esteem
Not
before going
always
live.
fine, always help.
How's your mental
But-
health doing today, my friend?
That's a very good question. I think my head's basically held together with duct tape at this point in time. Holy mackerel! This is. Oh, I talked to my
short
brother,
version.
and he gets PTSD when I talk to him. So I try not to talk too much and too sharply about these things. But with you guys, I'm going to vent. We're in for one hell of a ride right now. 2026 is what? We're what 9 weeks in.
Yeah.
And now we've already seen at least two major war crimes happening within that space of time. 3, 4. I mean, you can count it if you want to look at Ukraine as well as Gaza and things like that. A whole pile of things are going on here at the same time. So we're in a very, very, very complicated situation. My mental health, I'm struggling with a lot of this stuff. And I tell the people that seem to like my missives that I put on the internet that like every day it feels like somebody wake up in the morning and somebody says good morning, popping you in the head with a ball peen hammer. Fun. It's not a fun time to exist.
No, it's not.
I'm a historian. Look at this stuff. I'm a military guy, so I, we try to find the dark humor in these things, but we're actually functionally an incredibly dangerous time. I spent most of today because I knew I was doing this. I thought I was doing it tomorrow, so I thought I'd have more time. But anyways, his sister came by and had a chat with my dad, and I said hi, bye, and I got back in here and I'm looking at all the reports, the movements, the shipping movements, looking at the oil stocks, looking at poly market, looking at the all the the pizza panel that tells you what's going on in the world. Dangerous course right now. For Canada, I will say this. Right now, for us, we're safe as churches right now. It just popped up on my feed when guys were doing your intro that somebody came up and said that CS Montreal was part of this task force that is in the Middle East. It's not. It's alongside in Halifax. There are no at sea involved in this. Are there Canadians in the region? Of course. Are there Canadian military personnel in the region? Of course. Are we going to know anything about that? No, we are not, for very solid reasons. This last few days, we have seen the extension, the what did he call it? The
Dunro doctrine.
Oh my God!
Yes.
He basically what is happening now is we're seeing the last dying breath of an empire. Unfortunately, is also possibly. I mean, sorry, you could write this as an argument. The most violent, most destructive, and perhaps the most lethal empire that has ever existed, including the Romans and everybody else.
Well, even Genghis Khan.
Oh yeah. Oh,
really?
Genghis Khan had a fucking objective. I'm sorry, I shouldn't swear. Genghis Khan had an objective in what he was doing. When he used terror, he used it for a reason. He was trying to basically disarm the enemy that he was opposing in order to get them to him so that he could incorporate them into his empire. So if you went along with him, you're okay. What we're seeing now is nothing like that. What we're seeing now is like basically the United States in my limited, open source, and completely non-military engaged perspective, is that Americans are basically trying to hunker down all of the resources of power that they can use to maintain their dominance on the planet, which basically results in the petrodollar. About in the 1970s, when the United States decided they'd go off the gold standard because they couldn't do that anymore because they were starting to spend more than they were making, and they thought, okay, well, we can sell this by getting everybody else to basically dollar by riding on and allies and everything in order to stabilize our economy so we can maintain the big dog status. They are desperately trying to do that. That's what I see as, and this is just a theory. When I was looking through the notes I was making in the last couple of days, that's the theory that I'm coming up with. They're targeting of resource laden areas like Venezuela, like Nigeria, the Middle
Canada.
East, and Canada and Alberta specifically, which is our problem, is what they're trying to do is lock down resource control so that no matter what happens in the rest of the world, no matter how bad their economy goes, no matter how much damage that they're doing to themselves, they can still rock this out and say, well, we have the stuff you need, so you still have to. This is a shakedown. I wouldn't even say mafia, because I would say that Tony Soprano is probably a better guy than these dudes right now.
Yeah. There was, I mean, the
Tony
fictional
had a
character
fucking
Tony Soprano. He also had a moral guide point too, to a certain degree, right?
We don't have that here.
No, he was like, no women, no children, right? Didn't they just blow up a school in Tehran?
Yeah,
I mean,
that wasn't the United States that dropped that. That was the
that was Israel.
That was the IDF that did that strike.
Yeah,
which is again, well in keeping with their order of battle and their standard of operation. Oh dear, this is only going to get worse the longer it goes on. We have this where we have two nations that are absolutely reckless, and it's hard for everybody around them to figure out. We talk about our mental health here, and mine is not very good right now because of all this stuff. All I can see right now is that we have a situation where the United States is going full on fascist. You can call it Nazi, you can call it whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. It's the same goddamn effect. They are going for themselves. Their population is completely ignorant of what is actually happening in the world around them, to an extent I would absolutely war with Nazi Germany. We have a situation where they still have massive military force that they can use, but their leadership is telling them they know that this is a time expire project. There is going to be a time where the Americans can no longer use these assets to do the stuff that they've been doing for the last 50, 60 years. Human normalcy bias, right? We all get used to whatever is happening. Why, like, shock and awe works for the first 48 hours, as we're seeing right now. But once people slide into the fact that, yeah, I'm under attack, yeah, the Americans are hooing us, and we have to do things, and they build workarounds, mental workarounds with the shock, and then they get on with their lives. Americans, that is the only axe they have left to use. See them using this desperately. This is in terms of studies and war studies and geopolitics speak. We call this micro militarism. And a historical parallel, I would say, is what we saw in I don't know, like the Suez Crisis, for example, which is also part of dealing with. Suez Crisis, the UK and France trying to regain their empires after the established where they were in the world and fit themselves in, decided to launch an aggressive war against Iran, against Egypt in order to do this. That did not succeed, and that weakened them further, and then they declined further into empire, just as the French did in Indochina, which resulted. That is what we're seeing now. This is the death rattle of empire that is happening right now. The problem is, for the first time in human history, we have an empire which has the ability to literally and absolutely destroy all human society on life, but all human society on the planet, doing this, going through this. This is the first time this has happened. We got, as I think I said this in the last show, but last time when the USSR died, because they had some sane people who are still having their hands on the throttles there to back this stuff off.
Correct.
America this time is gone fascist state. I honestly do not think they have purged themselves to the point of leadership where there's nobody left there to guardrails. It's a mess.
I would agree with that. And you look at the way things have completely unraveled from a societal standpoint, if you will. During the end of the Cold War, you had there was an incident towards the end of the Cold War where there was a seemingly nuclear assault on the Soviet Union, and it turned out to be a false alarm. And there was the one sub-captain who could have launched nuclear warheads at the U.S. and said, "This doesn't feel right," and decided against it. He prevented World War III and nuclear Armageddon, right? One guy. It was literally one guy, and it was his decision. Had he made the decision to fire, none of us would be here right now. Those people don't exist.
He was one.
But those people don't exist in the Trump administration. They don't. That's what I'm saying. You don't have level-headed individuals who could make a decision like that, realizing if I push this button, I'm ending humanity. You got a lunatic like Pete Casbreath who will literally go, "Let's fucking kill everybody," and not care. And this is the concern I have right now, is that you do not have level-headed individuals in positions of power that can control the arms of the U.S. military. And I'm wondering, where are the sensible generals in the U.S. military right now? Like, what is going on? Why are they doing things illegally? Whether you agree with what took place or not is beside the point of the fact that the invasion of Venezuela was illegal and the invasion of Iran is illegal because they had no congressional support to do it. And that is the problem I have. Right? Yeah, I have a lot of problems, but that's a concern.
Oh, it is. And let me handle that in 4 points here. First off, that happened. Then that was not the Cold War where people stepped the thing back and ensured that it didn't happen. Yes, there was a solid system though on both sides of the equation where people said, if X leads to Y, we get death. And they understood completely and emphatically what the cost was, and they were all in the loop, and nobody in the chains of command wanted that. Mm-hmm. That was a situation where both sides were what in geopolitics you call rational actors. Right. They don't want themselves to stand that they need to work together to solve the problem. Those were artifacts of having this like a mad doctrine. Yeah, I mean, you can look at things like there's also like the KAL 007 flight where it got shot down by the Soviets, that caused about several others that are classified that we can't talk about. But this did happen. That's why we had the guys could get together and talk. Dude, what's going on? And we walk this back. I mean, that's been happening for a while.
Mhm.
We do not live in that world. We live in a world where it's actually like medieval kingdoms with nukes.
Yes.
But to the point that you're pointing out, Paul, because that is a valid, and I understand right now, the United States, you talked about their Secretary of Defense who calls himself the Secretary of War.
Yeah.
Which is illegal. It is not war. He's a friggin' Secretary of Defense. He has Dies Volt written on his. That tells me this guy is a white national supremacist. He absolutely believes lunatic stuff that has created the entire American military. U.S. military is going to be stopping this stuff. I would argue back to you and respond to you by saying what has happened since at least since the first Trump administration, really rocked this one back until like before the war on terror, even purged their leader, anybody who is willing to think, which is defend the Constitution and not violate the Constitution. The people who are in charge of the American military, if they're having prayer meetings in the Pentagon, we are in a world of shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you're right about that. They've purged so many level-headed individuals that were in the upper echelons of power in the military. They're gone. They've gotten rid of them. So if you were not a sycophant who would bow down to Trump and give him fealty and loyalty, you're out of there. So I think the individual that we're looking for, like that Russian sub-commander, as an example, is gone. It's gone. Like Schwarzkopf is gone. Colin Powell has died. I'm like, all of these people that you could go, this is an incredibly highly educated individual who knows a great deal about geopolitics and knows a great deal about how to wage war and prevent the loss of life. Those people don't exist anymore. They're all removed. They're all gone. And you have an insane commander-in-chief who will do whatever he feels like at a whim, or whatever Putin tells him to do.
Yeah. Now, I'm talking about like the flag rank and up. So basically anybody from like a naval up, and I'm not including all naval captains or anybody at the ranks, but in the actual leadership, because our lot of American who absolutely are sickened by what they're doing. Which, okay, if you have a corrupt system, like let's say a police force. Oops, did I just lose my contact?
No, you're good. Yeah, we can hear you. Keep going.
Am I there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In like, let's say you got a small town police force. You've got a horrible boss. There'll be a few people that go along with them. There'll be a lot of people that don't. That goes on for a few years. You get a system where younger people, organization, and everything, they come in with the best of intentions. They want to do the right thing. They want to be good people. They want to serve their king. You can do that for a bit, but when it comes into your organization, you cannot reform chaos from the not take something like let's be like the Stormliton, the brown shirts, or the SS. You cannot an organization like that from the inside if you got people who are good quality people on the inside trying to do it from the inside. They will either get fired or get arrested, or join the cause and get brain sucked into the matrix. That's the problem. The lower ranks, the people who are in the military who are now in harm's way, are not the people who are freaking responsible for this insanity. and it is complete frigging
Agreed.
insanity. They have no end state to this. They have no idea of what the outcome is going to be. Why are they doing this? This is literally taking a handful of friggin' spaghetti and throwing it at the wall and hoping something sticks so that did back home so that we get past or get towards the midterms, which is another big, huge problem. I do not think that the midterms will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think the midterms will happen because of everything that Trump has done, everything that we all outside of the United States, explain that in a second, understand about the situation in the United States. They functionally are going to be distracted by Trump. He's going to create a state of emergency. He's going to drag this show out here in the middle of a lot of American sailors and so to ensure that he can say, well, you know, the world's going to hell and everybody hates us and now we can't have an election. All right. Yeah. So he's going, so we are past that point where, and this is the thing that really, when I look at my beautiful colleagues and people that I talk to in the United States on Blue Sky and various websites, they do not understand that they're past the point of elections solving anything. Frigging way that elections are ever going to solve the problems in the United States now. They're a full-on dictatorship. They're a full-on fascist dictatorship. And I would argue that, especially given AI, and there was a report on the AI with respect to, oh geez, I'll have to look it up and send you the link that I read a couple of days ago, looking at how AI is used here by the United States. I mean, you just see what they did to that poor guy who was the USA hockey captain, and they created an AI video saying that he was saying horrible things about Canada. He's like, shit. Yeah.
Well,
they do that.
Here's the thing about that one, right? If they do that to an actual American citizen who has won a gold medal, right? What are they going to do when it comes to any information about that election or this war?
Did you watch
it comes from the White House. They had that little thing that said AI generated there, but this was an American citizen who happens to play for a Canadian team. They put anti-Canadian language into his mouth so much that he has to back away from it. And that was one of their own who just brought glory to the United States with a gold medal. That's how they rewarded him.
He's not one of their own. People in the United States that matter now are making north of $1 billion each.
Yeah,
that's
pretty much.
People they care.
Yeah. And he is.
Everybody
wealthy.
else is.
He's a wealthy man, but he's not a billionaire.
No. Did you watch a State of the Union address?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Not this time.
I did. So you did. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm still working on doing that, but I watched the whole thing and I took notes of it with my dad. It was all I saw there was emotional manipulation based on complete and utter unfettered lies. When I say that they are in a worse state now, the United States is now in a worse state, and I'm talking about everybody from like the top end all the way down to like, they are now functionally, and I studied. I did several courses in I studied under Eric Hans, who was the I think he was the grandson of Helmut the elder, Helmut von Moltke the elder, who was like one of their major officials at Western. They are functionally vastly less informed about what is happening in Nazi Germany in the 1930s and 40s, when the radios only had channels, both on Nazi propaganda 24/7. This is what or we are literally, I mean, I sound like I'm a crazy person, I think.
No, because I agree with you.
But we're literally
I
living.
agree with you. I don't think you sound crazy at all, sir. What you're saying is truthful, and it's disturbing to think that in the age of information, where I can use one of these to access all planetary information, and people are less informed now than they were 80 years ago.
Information. That's a
No, it's
fallacy.
not,
Education is
Right.
about how you train people to understand the world around and how to sort out bullshit from the truth. That is what we try to do, Asian. That is our some freaking job. That is what it is. You're seeing in the United States and doing it. I'm actually writing a book on education in Ontario and the problems with it right now. We're nowhere near as far as they are. But, in the United States, 50, 60 years, we have seen a complete degradation in ability, and the ability of people to understand is happening around. Have either of you in your podcasting gone through like a standard, like a local broadcast in United States somewhere, like take somewhere in, I don't know, friggin' Texas or Missouri or someplace, and look at the breakdown of the structure of their programming?
Oh yeah,
No.
many of them are controlled by Sinclair, which owns
Yes.
hundreds of stations across
Right.
the United States. And I was reading online yesterday on a Reddit thread about how people who had worked for Sinclair in broadcast television in the United States had said the disturbing thing about Sinclair is they would trim down our local information to a 5-minute segment and then have us dedicate 35 minutes to a by-election in New Jersey, and we're in Missouri. Like,
Yep.
why? This is
It's
not
so
local news. Yeah,
It's not. They don't get news; they get propaganda.
that's all it is. Yeah.
In Canada, we've got the benefit of having a better. We're farther out of the event horizons to deal with this, but yeah, like you look at America, you get maybe about most of it is local, like, and it's bullshit local stuff. You get some that is national, and you get maybe 5 or 6 seconds of, well, this is what's happening overseas and around the world. They do not functionally understand what is happening in the world. It's not a matter of intelligence. Americans are intelligent than anybody.
When he ended the fairness doctrine. Ronald Reagan ended the fairness doctrine in 1982, I think it was. And that gave the rise to cable news. Yeah, it's like Fox News has gone on record and testified in court that they're not a news channel. Rebel News has done the same thing in Canada. News is just in their name. They don't actually provide it.
I think I saw it this morning. Urza was out in front of like one of these sign sites for their referendum. Yeah, and that's another thing. Okay, I'm going to go there too. Okay,
well, just before you do that, sir. Just before you do that, I have to go. I got a very anxious puppy dog that needs to go outside. So I'm going to bid you adieu. Great to see you, Hugh. Great to see you, Mr. Beaver. I will try and produce some content this week. Everybody, thanks for joining in today. We appreciate you. I love you all, and I'll see you soon.
Bonne chance.
All right. Bye, sir.
Lola was my first dog's name.
Nice.
She was a sheepoo. Give
All
kiss
right,
for me.
you were about to say something, Hugh.
Oh yeah. I was.
I think Mr. Grizzly was talking about Fox News and how it.
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay. With respect to the media in the United States, in Canada we have similar problems. I was going on to say that with respect to what's happening in Alberta and what we're seeing with this referendum stuff, which it really we've got federal MPs as well tying into this insanity, is that this is first one that the Alberta separatists are saying and doing is absolutely straight out of the CIA playbook for how to soften up a country before you take them over. These people are quislings, have no base. This is completely astroturfed, and I am beside myself shocked that well, or I'm not surprised, but I'm disgusted that I'm seeing the federal Conservative Party going all in on this stuff, or at least not backing away from it as far and hard as must. JJ needs to be removed from the party. Danielle Smith needs serious, like she's not a good person to be in charge of the this is functionally, and I mean I'm like, I mean, I can, if you want to take a history book, not see Norway in the star and underline the points in the book where it talks about how Victor Quisling did the undermining of the state before they were invaded. That's exactly what we're seeing. This is a psyop against Canada. This is a direct assault against Canadian sovereignty. We need to be aware of that, and we need to treat that seriously. I'm not saying anything like violent, but this does need to be legally addressed.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so we've gone all over the place starting off this, but I'd like to ask a couple of questions to sort of bring a little bit of order in here. This all stuff started to happen, and this is not like the last time that there were strikes where allegedly they went in to take out the nuclear program and it was strategic, it was surgical, and then Trump told us that everything was obliterated and all that kind of stuff. The premise for going in to control or to stop the Iranians from having a nuclear program, that rationale doesn't hold anymore because, according to what the United States says, it was obliterated, and not too long ago, Rubio was out delivering a speech maintaining that that was indeed the case. So they are there for an entirely different reason. I'm pretty sure that from what I've been reading or whatnot, Trump has basically said outright the goal here was indeed regime change. And they did take out Ayatollah Khamenei in this here. So the first thing I would want to ask you, so that you can give some clarity, that Khamenei is gone. Does that mean regime change?
No.
All right. Why is that?
Okay. There has never been a situation where air power, like strategic air power, which is what the Americans and the Israelis, has ever led to a regime change. If you go back to the beginning of air power in the First World War and the Second World War, all it does is you get people scared and you kill people in the first few hours, but then everybody locks in, they get used to the routine, back to a new normal, and you carry on. Most people, when faced with an outside threat, you can hate your brother as much as you like, and you guys can be beating each other's teeth out in the backyard all the time. And challenges you kind of tend to, and go on the offensive. That's essentially what's happening here. All what is happening is a demonstration. I think that the political messaging target of this is not even the Middle East. I think it is mostly Trump doing two things at the same time. One, he reported home somehow. He can't do that by doing C because he's no good at that. So what he's doing is he's using an offshore adventure, as many presidents have done, in both parties, in order to rally around the flag. it.
Right.
The other part on the ground in Iran is Iranians are people just like Canada. There are 90 million of them. It's a huge country. They hate the Ayatollahs. I hate the Ayatollah. I mean, the dude's dead, and what better place? Their government sucks. The problem is that anytime you've got a situation where you are trying to do regime, you need to create a system before you even start this sort of operation where you've got, like, at the end state. We like that. Okay, great. Trump says, right, awesome. I'm going to bomb the crap out of people, and then you can go in and then you can take over the government. Oh, all right. You're telling me that, let's say, 70 million civilians without access to ordnance, without access to operations, without action or training or any sort of idea of what they're going to do, are now suddenly going to go surprise, and the government, because you just whacked the guy on top, is insane.
Right.
Sorry to bring this back to what you went through, but it's exactly the same as a cartel.
Right.
The guy on top, there's going to be another guy that comes right up the middle.
Yep.
And he's going to take him. He's already done the preparation and the training and the planning for how to manage that. Same.
Yep. We were talking about that
here.
yesterday. Yeah.
With Khamenei dead, all that means is that somebody else, if that regime, if big, huge, if, and the fact that we're now, 48 hours in now, and haven't happened yet, I'm very, put a toonie on the Stone Walrus as a bet against you that this won't make any difference for the regime. If the regime does collapse, the only thing that will suck into that vacuum and take over the space will be the Iranian Republican National Guard. Now, really understand what the Iranian Republican National Guard is with respect to the country. I'm not going to go into details. I'm just going to try to keep it light, but it is a state within a state. In Iran, you've got the government controls business. They control that sort of stuff. The Iranian National Guard does the same sort of thing as a subset of the government. They control some businesses. They control industry. They control training. They build their own. They make drones. They do a lot of military. Do a lot of things. They got their fingers in everything. Think of it. It's kind of quasi like what the SS was in Nazi Germany. It is a state within a state that is capable of maintaining itself without the government. If a vacuum occurs at the top of the power pyramid, those are the people who are going to get sucked in. They already have the command structure, they have training, they have the personnel, and they have the weapons to ensure order. Order will be maintained always. That's the first thing that's going to happen. So this idea that you can just take out people and to solve problems is not going to be effective.
Okay. In my readings of this, because again, it's the same thing as what happened to me in Mexico. It's hard to know what's real, what's not. The same caveat that I keep on giving within the first 72 hours, and perhaps even in this case, the first week, maybe in the first two, pretty much this is prime time for people that have their own agendas to come in with misinformation, to come in with a hot take that is really not helpful. There's going to be lots of information that's put out into the public sphere by the Iranian Guard that's not going to be true. There's going to be all these things. So basically, my position is that everything that everybody's saying, whether or not I think they're on on our side or whether they're on the other side. It's really for domestic consumption, and we should not take any one of those storylines and hold it as the one that we measure everything else against yet, because there's just way too much to happen. And given the potential effects of spillover of this particular thing, because it's not surgical like that, it's not just going to be a 1 or 2 day thing and then things are going to calm down for a bit. This has the potential to go on for quite a while. So I've been seeing things that I do not know if they're true or not, but I've seen things that sort of indicate some spillover into the United Arab Emirates. I've seen some things that seem to indicate some spillover that Iran would be attacking oil operations in other nations. I think Erfil was one or something like that. I don't know if these things are true, so I'm not going to claim them as a fact. I have been hearing as a fact that this has been verified that the Saudi royal family, even though they are supposed to be an enemy of Iran, as we say, nations don't have friends, they have interests, but they also don't have enemies. They have stability or things that they would like to maintain. So counterintuitively, the Saudi royal family is like, no, do not take out Iran, because whatever was happening in Iran was keeping things stable in Saudi Arabia. Now there's a fear that there might be a war within the royal family structure, whatnot, for supremacy there as a result of that. Because if Iran is taken out, and right now you sort of have those Gulf states that sort of have peace-ish situation with Israel. If Iran's not there anymore, then Israel might turn their sights on them. So you have the Qatar and United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and all of them, right? It may spill into there. So I'm just like looking at this potential for spillover. If you're Yemen might start bombing in the Strait of Hormuz, and then you might have a situation with oil again. And if they're taking out oil rigs as well as blocking the strait, there's like so much that can happen as a result of this. France is involved in some way. Other nations are involved. Our prime minister says that we are not going to be, we had no involvement in the planning and anything like that. So we are not going to be participating in any way. As we were coming on to this, I'm seeing here from CBC, Canadian military is likely involved in the planning U.S. strikes on Iran, retired general says, even though the prime minister says that wasn't the case. This has the potential to be so much more than just what the headline is in the first 48 hours. The repercussions for many other nations can be huge. A hilarious statement from Putin saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did this. This is an illegal war with like an illegal invasion and going into the country." And it's like, dude, have you smelt yourself lately? Right? With what's going on in Ukraine. But I mean, surely Putin can't be too happy because Iran was kind of they were helping each other. Right? Iran was making the drones that Russia is using. So, and then Ukraine is like, Russia is now vowing, some type of like these horror attacks throughout, other places. Even in the United States, one could foresee potentially, more not domestic terrorism necessarily, but terrorism on U.S. soil a bit around the time of like 9/11, that type of stuff, because the IRGC has tentacles. Every IGRC or IRGC, I can't remember. I always mix it up, the order of the letters in that. But they have tentacles everywhere, and because they have the power to coerce and all that kind of stuff, there may be, you do this for us, or grandma over here in the home country gets it, right? There's just so much potential, and my mind is not even, I'm a pretty creative guy, and my mind isn't even creative enough to think of like all the ways that this could spill over. So when there's a lot of people going like, if World War III technically did get a soft start a while ago, like this is the moment. There's no doubt now. So what are your thoughts here about like all the, I know I've like thrown a lot at you, but potential spillover, how it can affect oil, how it can affect stability in the Gulf states, all those other, the royal family in Saudi, all this kind of stuff, all the various emirs in the United Arab Emirates, because they're just like there's a power the Ayatollah's gone, if the IRC can come in and there's a power structure there, there could be an opportunity in the United Arab Emirates for different areas to say, hey, you know, like they're doing that here. Maybe this is my opportunity to take the top here. There's just so much going on. And this can get really bad, like really quickly, because you don't have those guardrails like you were talking about. And there's nobody saying, whoa, and a lot of people might be thinking, hey, this is my chance. Let's go now. Or everybody else is doing it. So, part of my language, but fuck it, let's do it too. Right? Because never let a crisis go to waste, right?
I'm not going to be your emotional support Canadian. Because
I'm not asking. I want you to give me the real deal.
No, I'm serious, because like what you're saying is the optimistic end of it.
God.
Is vastly worse. Has World War III means? I'm very confident that this is it. Okay, let's do the military breakdown first. Okay, okay. If I tackle this, and I've got a book here because I've been working on this all day. I'll try to do this, and I'll try to make it short because I know. Okay, I ran this for about 45 years. They have been building drones. They've been supplying Russia with drones. We have the Shahed drones down pat and basic, and they're as they can, and they can build them in a crash program at this point, even under attack. They can likely, estimates that I'm seeing from military sources are saying about 500 per day. Okay. Currently, at the beginning of this mess, they had 80,000 Shahed they could sortie. Okay, let's do a cost breakdown before we get anything else. An aircraft, a missile is expensive. A drone, not so much, but some are not expensive as things either. Standard missile Mark II, or even like the newer ones, the 3s and the Block 2s and things like that. The air into the naval assets that are in the Gulf right now, they're the weapons. The longer range. The SM2s can actually go up almost to outside of atmosphere. Cost $5 to $7 million per shot.
Okay.
Pound. Every one you fire, that's $7 million. Goodbye. The Patriot batteries that they're firing off all the time that you're seeing on the news, if you're doom scrolling the news, they're, and I'll be generous and say they're on the low side, about $10 million per shot. The THAAD rounds, the THAAD missiles that are used for a lot of the interceptable intermediate range ballistic missiles, the Shahed-2s that the Iranians are throwing in at it's limitedly. We haven't seen their full capability yet, and that depends on if the Americans and the Israelis are able to hit all their launch sites. Cost 10 to 15. The Fahd-2, which is their big missile, their hyper that's doing a lot of the damage, they cost $200,000 per round.
Okay.
Which is about the cost. It's a little bit more than one of their Shahed drones, microscopic compared to the interceptors. Intercept vastly more than it does to shoot them. Based on the 12-day war, I did just like a little cost calculation. Based on the 12-day war, which online you look at it, it says they got about an 86% hit rate, but that's because they were that they thought would overshoot and everything, was about 86%. So you're looking at an average for the targets that they're trying to defend about 2 or 3 maybe receptors per shoot down. So that's like of several millions of dollars per intercept of a $200,000 car that's coming at you. Yeah, it's the if we just look at the math of this, there's no way that this war can go on, and that is also not even talking about the basic logistics that the Americans and the Israelis were relying on American logistics, can any of these missile systems, weapon system takes several weeks to make individual. Cannot do this as a production level. This is not a production level thing. These are bespoke weapons. These are like handmade things. So, and also, and there's also the other effect that go out there with their ships and their cargoes, their carrier groups, and I think somebody fired a couple of missiles at Lincoln, like several missiles at Lincoln. They targeted them today. That's not a big deal. Lincoln can absolutely, will absolutely be able to intercept 100%. The problem is the pacing, the ratio, and because they only have a limited number of rounds that they can shoot. When those ships, individual ships, their destroyers are out around, they have to get the heck out of the combat, go back to a base and resupply along shore. They can't do this at sea. So their time expired. They are working on an incredibly narrow window of anything that they're trying to do. This is not going to be slow, though. So we're going to see some very strange things happening. I don't even know how this is going to look. And right now, so far, as just before I got online here and was trying to figure out how the damn computer thing worked, there were 11 countries hit. 2 hits in Cyprus. It's on alert, but that's because no. That wasn't done to hurt it. That was just done to basically tell to back off it, because we know that you're doing operations in the region. British are not so far not helping them, but that was basically an FU. The but and 90 drones, I think today. Fifth Fleet in the Middle East, within their major strategic base is trashed. They got a whole pile of stuff coming in. We saw some of that on television, but that was just the stuff that they allowed onto the video. The base has experienced lots of civilian targets hit, of course. The bases are on fire. The USAF bases that they're seeing out of have been hit. Jordan, 36 missiles. Qatar, about 66 missiles, and a whole pile of drones are going into strategic sites there. Saudi Arabia, not much intel on that, but they've had a few missiles coming. Syria's had a couple of. Those are mostly, like, a lot of the stuff that the damage that you're seeing on television is coming from the weapon systems as they followed have been intercepted. But auto fuel, anybody who's ever been in the Navy knows that if you get a drop of that on your skin, you're dead. So I mean, that stuff is really toxic, the fuel itself. So the fact that this ordnance is crashing and burning all of the cities is going to be a problem as well. What else? Geez. Dubai has so far, and this is 535. So I'm 270 plus drones hitting it. The drone intercept rate apparently is very low. And this is another issue. Which Canada here better pay attention friggin' now. Drone game is everything in the 21st century. We need to get Ukraine buddies in here, and we need to help them as best we can, and we need to get them in here and train us to deal with this new doctrine. This is a functionally different way of fighting war. This is like to warfare as machine guns were to bows and arrows. This is the real deal. And the United States, Canada, nobody in the West, other than Ukraine, because they've had to build it up, understand what they're doing with this. Those things are like, so the drone intercepts rates are low. We saw a couple of drones. We're talking, they're basically flying at the pace of a Cessna 150, like maybe about 150 kilometers an hour, and screaming into the American. They couldn't intercept those to their base. to their headquarters. That tells me that they got some serious defensive problems going on. The Abu Dhabi, the military got hit with 2 drones about 3 hours ago. Dubai, they're doing better against drones, but they hit the airport and they shut down the airport.
On a hotel there.
Yeah, and they also hit. Well, they hit the hotel. I think they did that more as a point of. I would be surprised by the end of this shit show if the that big huge tower, the Burj Khalifa, is still standing by the end of this, because that's just an eyesore anyway. The no, I shouldn't say that because that sounds callous, but that was a major target in that area, because it's also a command and control center that can support communications. But no, we've got a tremendous war here. At the end of the day, when these people went into this, they had an idea of what they were doing. The military, everybody from like the general level leaders understand what's happening, and we're saying to the American leadership, this is a terrible, not do this. We cannot do this. We're all screwed if we do this. They're still doing this. Did you see that wonderful picture of Trump in the Situation Room in Mar-a-Lago? Where he and I think they're in the Lido Lounge of the Mar-a-Lago bar, or some curtain strung up, the curtain of security, with people in there, and smart, like Apple Watches on the hands of all his people, and phones. Dude, that makes Signalgate look like a joke. Everybody in the entire planet who is doing intelligence absolutely knows the entire American game plan. They are able to anticipate this. The Americans are going to lose everything if they continue this. The smartest thing they take an off ramp now and say, hey, look, we took out the Ayatollah off. Let's go home. Mission burgers are on me. They won't.
Well, no, because now there's like a naval base in Bahrain that's been hit, and there's at least 3 dead and 3 military officers in Kuwait. So once you start taking American lives and affecting American base, the Americans can't actually walk away. And a lot of people have been describing this as the situation where like Trump, like the bully on the schoolyard, like that punches somebody and everybody start fighting, and then he would like walk away and then let everybody keep fighting. But now he can't do that. You can't attack U.S. military installations and be the president of the United States and walk away.
No. So he's got himself into a fight that he doesn't know. I would say this, that you don't ever fight a war just the people who have already been lost, because that is a loser argument that causes more people to die. You have to be the big person to say, we need to back off. We need to do something different. That's not going to happen here. These people are like, I don't know. Like, I mean, my head is exploding with the stupidity coming out of the States right now. I am looking around the world, and I am seeing a situation that I functionally think is, and I am hoping, and as I say online, I mean, I really, really hope that I am completely just out of my mind, not understanding this, but I really think it's close to a global war since about 1939. This is the deep crap. I don't know how we get out of it, but I will say this, with respect, bringing it back to Canada, my only hope for this, because this is happening and the American eye of Sauron is pointed towards someone else right now, it buys us a bit more time to get our crap together so that we can defend ourselves against this.
Yeah, I was literally going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Because the last time you were on the show, you predicted it would be
And
sometime by August. And I was wondering, well, now that this is happening and it's bigger than, what they think they're going to be and they won't be able to control it, does that buy us some time, or is the August date delayed?
August was basically, that was just a guess based on the weather and the at the time and the global geopolitical situation. I don't know. Maybe it'll be next year. Maybe it'll be a couple years. Let's hope we can kick the can down. And people are criticizing Carney right now for saying what he did, what's going on in Iran. Need to really get their heads together and not criticize that, because he did the absolute bare frigging floor minimum to ensure that Canada can maintain an evil approach with the Americans while not committing to anything. We cannot be involved with this. We're not going to be involved with this. Nobody wants, no American really wants to be involved with this. So he did the best thing he could. But are we? I don't know. Timing's like I don't know. Everything that's happened since this has surprised me with its speed and how things go. We're dealing with completely erratic people. And when you're dealing with people who are incoherent, difficult to understand or predict what their next steps will be. And it seems like the United States is not a country that we can in any meaningful way rationally now communicate with or try to negotiate. It's dangerous.
Right. Okay, you've given me a lot of avenues there, and I'm making some mental notes because I do want to get back to Carney thing. But okay, so we're talking about potential spillover, regional war, that type of stuff. About oil specifically here, because I can't imagine that Yemen doesn't get involved somehow at some point.
Already
And
is.
again, like I said, I do not know if these things are verified or if it's, again, disinformation that's coming out. But there is content, again, not enough to know whether or not it's real or not, that is suggesting that there are oil rigs in other nations outside Iran, but belonging to the Gulf states, that might be being attacked by Iran.
Yeah, they are.
So
okay. in the Gulf, I don't know about outside the Gulf, but I do know that in the Persian Gulf there are several oil rigs and refinery like the, well, not refiners, but the oil rigs are fixed on the ground that have been targeted with drones and things like that. They've experienced damage. As far as it goes with respect to global oil stocks, major issue, because one, you're dealing with oil, so these things are very easy to lock down and limit damage and everything and recover from. So they're actually a lot harder to target to hit than you think they are.
Okay.
But two, the problem is what's happening with insurance with respect to the Strait of Hormuz. In the way that commercial shipping, and there's what's going on in shipping is the best. It has forgotten more about this stuff than I will ever know, has absolutely made clear is that what we are going to see is, while the strait is still open, nobody has stopped it. And to be quite honest, my sources are telling me that they're doing route surveys every day anyways. So a route survey is basically a very detailed, like a microscopic, like down to the millimeter, survey of the bottom of an area of ocean in order to see any changes from day to day. So you cannot put any mines down there being detected. Is it going to be mined? I don't think so. They don't need to. All they have done now is they've whacked one of the ships that was just to the north of the strait that was at anchor or alongside. I'm not sure which, but they hit it with a drone, which caused Lloyd's of London International Commercial Insurance System to basically say, right, well, rates are going up the Strait of Hormuz. That all by itself is causing the massage, and everybody is the strait is open, but people are basically parking their ships in the roadsteads on either side and anchoring them and waiting to see what the situation brings. That will have an oil shock on the rest of the world. My remedy, if you haven't already, is stock up on gas, because it's going to go through the roof. I think it went through about $20 up today. So.
Natural gas?
No, not natural gas. Well,
like just gas, like at the gas pump.
Yeah, it hasn't. No, gas at the gas pump hasn't gone up that much yet. The crude price per barrel has ratcheted right up. It'll take a while for it to hit us, so it's probably a good time to fill up anyways, because gas is going to go up until they cover off. 20% of the global oil supply, because it's everything, it's just about 20%. But if you get 20% targeted and shut down or cut off, it's it for everybody else. So it just means prices are going to go up.
Gee. Okay, I'm trying to look it up, see if I can find it there. See if I can get some numbers for you. Gasoline. Oh, well, that's a 1 day delay though. So, but yeah, up 2.24%. But I don't have any dates there on that, and I can't really find a graph here. So yeah, and the best that I have is a little delayed here. Oh, but yeah, okay, no, wait a minute, I can. Okay, it's not a lot percentage wise, I guess it is, but I can show you a graph here that I've been able to find since about the second, but I don't think that the data is reflected in this graph here. But I'll try to put it
probably
up.
Not yet. That's my prediction, because that's just my prediction, because these things will take, because global system, so it'll take a while for it to percolate through it. But I expect are going to spike soon.
Here we have gasoline here,
and
I have a February 2nd $1.05 per barrel, I guess that is, and now it is. I don't know why this is popping and making like weird strobe light things. 27th $2.28. So we're looking at if this trend is not our friend and continues, that's going to be spiking up relatively shortly.
And it will also, of course, depend on the situation. They shut the mess down and they withdraw and they reduce the tension, will settle out. If this, and it looks like based on and I haven't seen what what Trump said today, but based on the American government yesterday, it looks like they're going to settle in for a long fight here. If that happens, then we're going to see it getting much worse. Here's another thought, though, if you want it.
Yeah, please lay it on me, brother.
China is watching this incredibly closely. China is still able to get all their ships through the Gulf, because the Gulf is not closed to China, and because nobody's going to be shooting at them. So
and as of yesterday, they still haven't made a formal statement.
They're waiting and they're seeing what happen, because nobody knows what the hell the lunatic down in Washington's going to do. Gets into this game interesting very fast. China is not stupid. China is not evil, as well. I mean, more or less evil as any other state. I mean, they can do horrible things as well. But what they are rational actors, so they're trying to do the best for their situation. If they view this, they can do this, and they've got some options here that if I was Chinese and I'd be looking at this as a military officer, I'd be thinking to myself, okay, one, we have a chance to really mess with the American economy even more than it already is, without us having our fingerprints on the actual problem.
Right.
We can manipulate things in order to make it worse for them, in order to improve our position. Two, what America's doing is giving us latitude for what we our theater of operations with respect to the Southeast Asia, Taiwan, Japan, things like that. Three, tactically or operationally, I guess it would be, this means that the entire American wars of interceptor missiles that they need to do operations against China is going to be vastly depleted when China decides to do something. So this is a win-win-win for China. Russia is a weak hand. Russia has a weak hand.
Right.
We call Russia our boogies. They are the horrible people. I would call them orcs because I'm a fellow. But the in Ukraine, but they can still use this to manipulation as well. This is giving them some different latitude as well. Split, which they have generated, because I think I can't prove it, so it's just speculation from me, that they've had a hand in how the American situation is going right now. But this gives them opportunity to maximize the instability and the lack of in the world, to manipulate that in other areas other than Ukraine. I'm not expecting Russia to fire a whole pile of assets down to Iran to deal with this, because they are maxing what they're trying to do in Ukraine. Don't think they're going to be successful at that. But it's also some wiggle room and some avenues that they can use to make further monkey shines with the rest of the world. So there's absolutely, in the last 72 hours, that is good for anybody.
Okay. Getting to Canada, Prime Minister issued a statement and caused a lot of people to react. Again, I'm the type of person, as I mentioned, not really a big fan of the hot take in the first little bit, but this is what was initially said, probably before the school was bombed. That says, and the title of this is Statement by Prime Minister Carney and Minister Anand on the Situation in the Middle East. Now, I will put my bias up front here, and I've said it all on the show. When it comes to statements like this, I'm a big fan of all the words someone said matter, and only the words that someone said matter. So we can't add or omit any of our own into the statement. And I'm watching a lot of interpretations of this, that some of them are bad faith, in the sense that there are people, right or left, who do not want the prime minister to succeed. So they're looking at this and said, well, he said he would stand up, lead by example, and all the kind of stuff. Well, look at him supporting the strikes. And then you have other people saying, like, why is he not, standing with the United States? Iran is such a terrible nation, and we don't have a great relationship with Iran. We don't have an active embassy. Harper closed that when we had some, troubles with them. And then there was the downing of the plane that happened a few years ago, and we have not been able to get much help with the investigation with that, because again, we do not have diplomatic relations there, and nothing that we can work. So, I mean, we've had our issues with Iran for quite some time now, so well over a decade now, for sure. We are not friends in any way, shape, or form. And would like, we've seen the conservatives for the longest time asking to put the Revolutionary Guard on the terrorist list, and we pointed out, ironically, that there was a time when the conservatives were power, the liberals were asking them to do that, and the conservatives didn't do that. Now we have, as a result of all that pressure and whatnot. But it's like the conservatives didn't want to do it when they were in power, and the liberals were asking them to. And then when the liberals were in power, they didn't want to do it. The conservatives were asking to. And it's this lovely dance that we've been doing here for a while, because one, the Guard is so huge that if you sanctioned everyone, right, it would be really hard to enforce. But you'd also be sanctioning some people who, I mean, they've got no choice but to join the Revolutionary Guard because they kill you if you say no, right? And you've seen the protests. They're not adverse to taking out 1,000 people in one day, right? So there's only so much latitude that the people of Iran can have when they want to oppose or say, no, I don't want to join. It's almost like, again, the cartels in Mexico, right? It's got a lot of people kidnapped. You either help me with my cartel work or we kill you, right? And it's like, they're not willing participants here, right? Even though the overall structure really is, because it's well financed and it's organized to maintain itself and sustain itself. Not everybody that's participating is actually a willing participant. It's not like they woke up this morning and say, hey, I want to join the Revolutionary Guard, or I want to join a cartel, right? Something happened to them and now they're a part of it. But they are on the list now because we've done that. Yeah. So I'm reading this, and I'm trying to pay attention to only the words that are said, not trying to interpret them. So if like you're predisposed to not liking the prime minister, you can read this and say, well, see, he didn't live up to what he said in Davos. And then other people are trying to like maybe reinterpret it to saying, yes, this is exactly what he said in Davos. I'm trying to take the prime minister at his word in terms of we're going to live as it is, not the world that we would want to be. And while we do need to stand up to bullies, it would be silly to suggest that we don't have to mind our own interests too. And we do live right door to the United States. And it's not like this is an opportunity to take a moralistic stand, poke the United States in the eye here. There's a lot of people that would like to see that. I was having a conversation with someone. Could we first take some time to point out that this is an illegal war that's not sanctioned? Yes, we could, but I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump and Netanyahu were quite aware of that before they decided to go ahead anyway. So I mean, we hate to make ourselves feel good and take a stance on the world, but what good is that going to do? Like that and a quarter won't even buy us a cup of coffee anywhere, right? That's we could the obvious, but it's like this is not going to help us. So I'm trying to read this statement with these things in mind, that elbows up doesn't mean playing the whole game with your elbows up. Standing up to a bully doesn't mean that you punch back every single time. You still have to worry, like if you punch back, is the bully going to come down and burn down your house, right? You have to stand up, but sometimes you need to be, sometimes the head that is bowed does not get the sword. Or at least is not the first. And there is, like you said, there is a strategy here in terms of us buying ourselves some time. So we do have to take care of our own stuff. So I'm trying to in this context. And it says here, the Canadian government is closely following Iran-related hostilities throughout the Middle East and urges all Canadians in Iran to shelter in place. Canadians in the wider region should follow local advice and take all necessary precautions. No problem there. Canada's position remains clear. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the principal source of instability and terror throughout the Middle East, has one of the world's worst human rights records, and must never be allowed to obtain or develop nuclear weapons. Pretty sure there's not very many people that would object with that. Canada and our international partners have consistently called upon the Iranian regime to end its nuclear program, for all the good that has done, including the 2025 G7 Leaders Summit in Kananaskis and with the United Nations reimposition of sanctions in September. This is a program that, according to Donald Trump, was supposed to have been completely obliterated. He does have a tendency to lie, we'll just say. Despite diplomatic efforts, Iran has neither fully dismantled its nuclear program, halted all enrichment activities, nor ended its support for regional terrorist proxy groups. Canada stands with Iranian people in their long and courageous struggle against Iran's oppressive regime. Canada has listed the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist entity and has sanctioned 256 Iranian entities and 222 individuals in response to the regime's repression and its violence both against its own people and persistently beyond its borders. Canada reaffirms Israel's right to defend itself and to ensure the security of its people. this is more sort of like a facts-based statement rather than an opinion one or position here. Canada supports the United States and this is the one that matters here. Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security. The Canadian government urges the protection of all civilians in this conflict. We will take all possible measures to protect our nationals and Canadian diplomatic missions throughout the region. That's the statement. I'm going to go back to the before last paragraph. Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security. If I take that statement and then I take the statement of Donald Trump that says that the nuclear program has been completely obliterated, and Marco Rubio saying a couple of weeks ago that that is indeed the case, all of this seems to be directed to Iran producing or acquiring nuclear weapons. There is no support specifically for the strikes. And the overall context here from the United States is that this thing here going on right now has nothing to do with preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, even though they keep putting that into the mix there based on previous statements. So basically, we are saying something, it's almost like saying the president has been transactional. We're saying something that appears like support, but it's not actually support, and it's support for something that the United States claims has already been taken care of. In terms of, and our Prime Minister, I know, was very good with words and strategy. So that's what I'm seeing when I see this. Am I off the mark?
No, you're not. Hang on. Somebody's pissed off. There we go. Okay. No. And you got it like a political strategist, because that is probably the most rational and smartest way to the situation right now. I mean, I could disagree,
That's
but
very
I can't,
kind, because this is not my domain.
Exactly on track. Where was Carney when he said that?
In India. Well, when it was written,
what was he doing in India?
In India, he reiterated that at the beginning of the speech, but as of last night listening to the news, he has not taken one media question about this. So that's all that's been said officially from Canada's position. I don't know if anything else has happened today, but that's it. So we're as close to China as possible in terms of not having actually made a public statement about what's going on there right now.
As a military historian, I'm thinking back to conscription if necessary, but not necessarily conscription. Same thing here. Like he's walking a really freaking fine line here. He's trying to do 12 different things from Sunday and navigate, and named Orange McNutt is way back and forth and trying to distract. I think he's done absolutely everything that he can possibly do right now. I think Canada's position right now is exactly what he should be. Is we are maintaining the order. We're building our position with a new world of equal countries around the world and building a partnership. We are reaching out to other countries, showing a lot of our investments that were formerly tied to the United States, because it is in our best. We're working with our allies in order to build more stability in the world. And as part of that, you have to, US are monsters at this point that are going to, we cannot afford to go back like, well, my dad liked the, so I wrote for the Leafs too, respect the United States in a relationship. The United States today, and this is something which you probably, and probably everybody in friggin' Canada, and is functionally different than it was even ago. Like, this is speed. I don't know. I like what he said, and his statement are fairly on mark. I'm not like you. I'm not a political strategist, so I don't know how to message this as you do. But I totally agree. I think that is very reasonable assessment and matches what I've come to believe about what we're doing.
I don't know how to phrase this. Us over here who are watching things unfold, right? I have my sort of general advice, at this moment, most statements for domestic consumption don't accept any one particular statement as being the statement that you're going to take, because there's something in communication. Sometimes the first thing you hear is the thing that you hold up and you measure everything else against it. There's absolutely nothing that anybody is saying at this point that should be the thing that you're holding up as the thing against which you measure everything, because again, this is prime time for misinformation. So for those of us who are here and we're watching this happen around the world, and we're watching our government try to walk this tightrope, what is the best thing that we can do at this moment so that we don't fall into the sort of propaganda war, and we don't become unwitting participants in spreading this type of propaganda?
Take time, listen to what's being said, pause, and think about it and sleep on it. If there's nothing that we like as individual citizens, there's nothing we can do to affect the decisions that we can only deal with how we respond to them. The basic facts of life are always still going to be the same. We're concerned with families and our friends and our communities. We're here to work together to try to build a better country. These issues will happen, like weather. My advice to everyone is to keep your head together, work together with other people, vent when you can, because this is an incredibly emotional problem. I mean, I'm mornings with my heart pumping in my chest, and I'm terrified on the computer. These are difficult times. I don't think in our history as a species, actually being in a position where so much information, good, bad, or indifferent, where it happened 24/7, and we had to break from it. I was lamenting to Dad the other day that George Orwell 4, like if he came online today and we suddenly popped into the blogosphere and saw what was happening, he'd be like, holy crap, I really didn't do enough about this. We're living in incredibly stressful times. I guess, I don't know, I would just say anything that happens and you're online, any news that comes out, don't about it at the time, accept it, try to understand it, verify it, do critical thinking skills on it, sleep on it, and then try to figure out tomorrow. This is sprint. This is going to take years to deal with, no matter how it goes. It could get worse. It could get better. I'm a negative way I think, but so my view might, and I apologize to anybody if I upset anybody with any of my, that's not my goal. I'm just speaking from what I'm thinking. But if we work together, if we lose our heads as a community and as a group in a country, we can get. I mean, like 9/14. Everybody thought that the world was ending. It was Armageddon. I think the book was Marching to Armageddon was this book. Some generations, sadly, unfortunately, you have like the boomer days. Some generations get to deal with the crap. We unfortunately are living in one of those other ones. like they said in the that Chinese, I think it's Chinese curse, may you live in times. Well, we live in interesting times, so it's going, but reach into each other, reach out to, and as long as we work together and we're best to anticipate. In teaching, we talk about things like circles of control and circles of concern. Circles of control are the things that you can actually functionally modify and deal with and make an effect. Homelessness in your communities, food shelters or food banks, and things that you can do in your community, reaching out and with neighbors, making sure everybody's okay. That sort of stuff. We are concerned about all this stuff that we don't have any control over. That'll drive you crazy if you try to do that. Trust me, because I am crazy, because I do think like that. But we can get through this if we're careful and if we.
Okay. I
hope that helps. I think
we go. Yeah. I think somebody had asked just a question here, what it is you thought of the Board of Peace, because there's some reaction from the audience saying, well, this is the Board of Peace is now running the world and this is what it's going to look like. And other people are saying, well, so this is the first action of the peace. Or are you seeing any relation to this or not?
The Board of Peace is to world affairs as FIFA is actual soccer. We're not talking about anything that is meaningful. That is that was basically trying to get bankroll from various people into a hand. No, I do not see them as taking. Okay, does the UN have a lot of problems? Yeah, it does. Do we have a global order anymore? Man, it's falling apart. So we're going to have to start over from. Is the Board of Peace like Spectre and taking over and dealing with the manipulation of evil? They already are. Whether they call themselves the Board of Peace or not, much effect. Is Canada going to get involved in it? Outside of various individuals who are very closely connected with MAGA and things like that, no, I don't see it going anywhere. I see that as being a false start.
Okay. As you know, before these strikes happened, there was some activity that was been happening between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Is that its own separate thing, or is that related to this?
Oh, it's always going to be related, and it's always going to tie into this. But what's going on between Pakistan and Afghanistan are two Islamic states with different perspectives, and that's another issue. Consider that to be like an out from the main conflagration that is now in centered around the Persian Gulf, but it absolutely is. When I said that we might actually be in World War III, I'm not talking about like nukes flying everywhere. We're vastly far away from that. I do not see that as anywhere near in the offing anytime soon. What I'm talking about is like a low-level war, a brush fire that is starting to build up. We still have time as a global community to get control of it. If it goes on, we might have issues. If these fires join up, that becomes a harder problem. But we've got I would say in the world right now, we've got the war between Pakistan and Afghanistan right now is a minor sideshow compared to what's happening there right now. The big show is what's happening between Russia and it all happens to be in the same continent, and that's all going to be related together. Any conflict or an environment like this, people on all sides are talking to people on other sides. So these actors are going to be in communication with each other. So is it connected? Sort of, yeah. Is it directly connected, or is it going to influence each other? At this point, I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Okay. Other comments that I've been seeing from the kits are sort of this statement that the prime minister has issued, again, about the situation in the Middle East, is not consistent with what he said in Davos and makes him look two-faced. And then there's other opinions that says if you do pay attention to what he said in Davos, this is exactly consistent. What would be, or that the world has changed a lot already since Davos. This is Davos plus, taking into effect again the world as it is and how it is rapidly changing since Davos. What would be your take on, given what was said in Davos, how would you take this statement? How would you interpret the statement?
The thing that struck me about what Carney said at Davos was that he was basically Bismarck, realpolitik from a Canadian perspective. He was looking at the situation from where he stood at that time, before all this stuff blew up. He said that the old order is gone, and we have to forge a new one. Correct. He said that Canada has to make a new way forward. We are. He was absolutely correct about that. Today, he reacted to a situation and he said, we support that these countries shouldn't have nuclear weapons because it wouldn't not be a good idea for the world. And he also maintained our independence from America, which I see the thread between what he's doing. As you know better than I do, because you did this stuff a living, the notion of having of diplomacy is somebody to go F themselves without actually telling them to themselves where they're actually thanking you at the end of the.
Yeah, if you do it really well, they thank you.
Yeah, it's hard. He's walked a massive tightrope, and I do not envy him his job, and I'm very impressed with the messaging so far. If you do it right, and speaking as it dealt with fights in the schoolyard and things like that, sometimes the best solution is you walk away and both kids hate you equally. If that is the way to play this game, that's the best way he plays it. Right now, any Canadians who are committed to operations with respect, we've got some people who will be in theater because we've got diplomats and people all around the world. So, of course, there will be Canadians always involved in this stuff.
And people on military exchange, for example.
Yep. But we are not committing any forces to this. We are not going whole hog in or anything else. We're not backing this play. So he is basically doing what he can. My basic thought is what he's trying to do is play for time. We massively have to play for time as a nation right now because we are nowhere near ready to face the war that I feel and I fear is going to be coming at us in the next 5 years. We're not able to we don't have the logistics, we don't have the doctrine, we don't have the training, we don't have the systems yet. We are in a very vulnerable state. This is kind of like in the 1930s, in the mid-1930s. People criticized Chamberlain. Okay, he was doing it for quite some different reasons. I agree with that, but criticized Chamberlain for appeasement. What Chamberlain did, though, while he was doing the appeasement thing, was he buying time for Britain to gin up its entire industry in order to build the production of weapons of war to essentially win the Second World War and save Britain. That's what I see happening here. We're buying time right now. It's not in our interest to go down to Washington and say, jerks, and we don't want to be more, and we don't like what you're doing, and go FYF. what we need to do is we need to not buy time and pick our battle, and that's what he's doing. I saw that when that came out, when he first said that, the first thing that came in my mind was like, what the hell did he say? Why did he do that? And then I thought, okay, this is difficult. He's not saying exactly, and to be quite honest, he's probably not what he personally believes. He's saying the message that is in the best interest for Canada. What you do if you're doing diplomacy correctly is you looking at, okay, what are our options? T-chart the pluses and minuses of what we can do. What is in the best interest of Canada? This is. I don't like it. It sucks. I'm not overly happy with it, but it's the best of the worst alternative. We're living in the age of suck, so we might as well embrace the suck and try to do our best.
All right. And I think that's a good way to end this here. Thank you, mon frère, my friend, for on quick notice coming in and doing this, because I thought it was important to try and get a little breathe in through the mouth at this point, because things are moving rapidly, and again, we don't have full information. We don't know what's real. We do not know what is not real. Again, plenty of room for misinformation, and plenty of people wanting to rush in with a hot take on how we should interpret, and we should be for or against the prime minister. We should be for or against various nations. Whether I've heard criticisms from about Starmer and Macron and Mertz and everybody. Not good enough, better enough. They have called some. I heard on the news that why they have called for some form of de-escalation. We have not. Does that make us terrible? Again, they are not next door neighbors. We are. So that's also a factor with the United States. But they are closer to the theater of war geographically than we are. So I can understand why France and Germany would like some de-escalation, because Iran might be able to hit there with the missile, but they do not have intercontinental missiles, so they can't hit here. So we don't necessarily have to call for de-escalation. There's all these factors to try and put in. But yeah, I think your perspective here of remembering that no matter what position we're taking in terms of a global leader and wanting to lead the world, the prime minister's first priority, of course, is to take care of Canadians' interest first, and then what else he can do to move chess pieces around the world. And I'm glad that you made the distinction that what he is saying officially on behalf of Canada may not even be what he personally believes. So we have to not necessarily associate official statements from the government of Canada as being the personal view of Mark Carney, the person.
Yeah.
And that's something I missed in my analysis completely that you brought here. That gives me, well, let's put it, that gives the optimist in me rather than pessimist in me something to hang something on. That and if I factored into everything else I know about him, about being a pragmatist and somebody who's a risk manager by training and formation and work experience, whatnot. I mean, if there ever is a risk management situation, this is it at the moment. So, going as far as you can go while not wanting to take on any additional risk, and then, being clever enough with words that you can look like you're not opposing while not actually supporting.
It's
a
dance I do not
understand. You're right.
Not do.
It's like it's like having 8 legs and trying to dance on all of them at the same time. And it's like I said, I do not envy any world leader at this particular time, because I would not be surprised. I do not know anything about really how the people in China think about what's going on, but surely there's in China some people thinking like, well, our government hasn't said anything about this yet. It's like, why aren't they? Shouldn't they be making a statement? They should be making a statement now. There may be just at the liberty of saying, why are you not saying anything now? Whereas we are. Yeah, it's this is fucking weird.
It's there are words I would use. I'm not going to use on your channel because I don't want to get you demonetized. That explains this, but it is a mess.
Yeah. All right. Please, I know I don't have to ask you about this because this is your bag and this is your thing. You're going to be keeping abreast on stuff. But if there are major developments of any kind or critical points, definitely please do just like send me something so you know.
Will do. Multiply this week to the Kingston area, go down visit my sons and
ammunition and whatnot. It's not going to be as long and drawn out. It's going to be fast and furious, and things are going to be shifting relatively quickly. So if there is something that seems to be like a critical moment, just lift your hand up and we'll make time.
Will do. Also, please, if you decide to tour, just do me a favor. If you decide to tour a combat zone again, please let me know in advance. Please.
I really did. The sun.
You had me worried there, son.
I don't know if our I've never been in a situation remotely close to that. I mean, Alex, grew up in Romania and was there during the revolution.
It was easier for you than it was for everybody else here because you knew when you were in danger and you knew what was going on, and everybody else back home, what the hell is happening 24/7. So just do your best.
I'm gonna.
Did I lose you? Okay.
Look here, because
all right. Et nous fini? C'est bon ça? Audio's gone.
Not sure what's happening.
Who knows?
And we are completely. Oh, there we go. A little movement.
Well, shit.
Okay.
I'll have to. What I'll have to do is upgrade my freaking modem. I think. And my dad's modems. So it might be a modem connection thing. I don't know how to do that yet.
For me, we cut out on sound saying war zone and then conflict zone, and you were about to say something.
Oh, like conflict zone. Yeah, don't go touring in combat zones without talking to me first. Just so I don't lose my mind worrying about you.
Oh, you were very, very wonderful, and
yeah, I'm glad you got back safe. And like as far as such things go, from a journey, that is gold. So use it, my friend.
That is because we had asked our neighbors to help, and they expected us to be back at a certain time, and we had no way of letting them know while we were away that we weren't going to be back yet. So your concern and your support were absolutely wonderful, sir.
I didn't do much, but anyway. All right. Well, I got to get going here because I think my dad has got dinner ready, and he's making loud noises in the kitchen, which is usually his passive aggressive way of telling me that it's time for me to get my ass out there. So I better get going.
All right, friend. again, there's something going on right here that I cannot see. I can hear you, but I cannot see anything on my screen whatsoever. So I will
You're
let you.
frozen.
Yeah, I will let you go for now. People might be seeing a split screen with nobody there or something, or maybe if you just check out yourself. Oh, there you go. Now it's there. Okay. Uh, hopefully that was not too weird for anybody watching. All right, my friend.
Adieu,
Adios.
bientôt.
All right, kids and cubs, I'm sorry for what has been happening in the last couple of minutes. I don't know how much of that guys got or didn't get because everything at this end completely froze, and there was a time where I couldn't even hear Kit Hugh talk. So hopefully the end of that wasn't too weird there. But I'm seeing Frozen Beaver here. Yeah. So um, for those in case it didn't get through as we were signing off, and I'm frozen again. So yeah, all right. Um, let's just. He was saying next time I go into some type of a zone or area where there would be some upheaval or unrest to let him know first, so he wouldn't be so worried. And I was thanking him for the support that he offered during the time I was away. Kits and Cubs, that's the end of this special episode of the True North Eager Beaver Interview Project. We hope that you love listening to this because we love making this. You are able to breathe a little bit easier. Uh, I have no idea what you guys are seeing. All right. I have no idea why this is happening at the moment because the only thing I have open is one window. It doesn't seem. Hopefully, you can still hear me. All right. Yeah, you seem to work with the video. I'm just video's not cooperating. I'm just gonna sign off at the moment and won't do the regular closing. Just wanted to say happy birthday to Kit Mo. I thought I was belated because I know it's the 29th next year, so I don't know if you celebrated on the 28th or the 1st. According to you, it's today, so not belated. Happy birthday. And I'm not asking where I bought these at the moment. I'm just asking you for to go to our site and our YouTube page and click on subscribe if you can, like and share in order to help us with the algorithm. That would be fantastic. And hopefully the QR code will appear at some point on the screen. And also, Kits and Cubs. And even that has taken a while. Hi. The stream will end. All right. This is really weird. Talk about not sticking the dismount. Wow. Okay. One day back and Restream's already making my life difficult. Thank you so much, Restream. We're really getting our money's worth here. Oh boy. Nothing is happening when I click end stream at all. Very weird. All right. I'm just going to try into the window and see if it turns off on its own. Sorry, Kits and Cubs, for this. Yeah, I have no idea why. So sorry.